Not excluding anybody.
Not excluding anybody.
Everybody loves Gizmo.
But definitely Gizmo is very known. So it's about 5, right? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, he has using the perfect cherry color.
I know he
We're
looks
good?
good. We could probably just have it this way.
So we're gonna move this over?
Mhm.
It's all good.
But what's up, Fifi? You said hi to everybody over there barking at people.
Put him against the couch for now.
But we have a little bit of transition moment.
No. Oh, he's like on Instagram, right? Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. Oh, that one's mine.
I know we have the same phone.
Oh, do we? Nice.
I'll get it.
We can put it over here. No, you're fine. That's an original, yeah. Thanks. Jesse. Nice to meet you. Huh? Jesse. Yeah. No, Kid Robot makes these. They're just like weird little rabbit things. What you got going?
Other way. So it's live now, okay?
Let's put it this way. Good.
How you doing over there, Jess?
What's
Cool.
his name again?
This is Fifi.
Fifi. Hi, Fifi.
All right. Hey, you guys. Definitely welcome back. Betty, how are you?
Great.
Thank you for being here with us
Thank you for
today.
having me.
Yes,
No.
here's our now people who are just tuning in to the Eskwilax hour. Or
Once again.
this is the second half where we had Jess painting, and now we have Betty from. We'll just say it's Coalition or just a brand from
it's
Immigrant.
Immigrant Apparel,
Immigrant Apparel,
urban wear line.
urban wear line. Definitely tell us about yourself and about the wear.
Well, I'm from New York. I've been in LA for 5 months now, and I started my brand 3 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Sorry, Fifi's being a little.
How was the initiation of starting a brand and such?
Say it again.
What was the starting point of beginning a brand of such?
Well, my family were from El Salvador, so like many of us here, we're immigrants. It's a tough journey.
Yeah.
So I wanted to dedicate something to them, the fact that I'm proud, and basically represent it on fashion.
Nice.
Nice.
It's really cool.
Nice. And what's your intake on the whole political stand on what's going on in the ocean with just just people being able to identify themselves with such a brand a lot deeper than just the apparel itself.
Right. Well, when I started 3 years ago, I never knew this administration was gonna be like this, and to be quite honest, it's been a circus.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a circus. I like to see it as a nightmare, honestly. So with that being said, I'm glad that I created this a few years ago, so we have something to be proud of. we can wear this word proudly. I'm proud of it. And it's really sad what's going on. It really is.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say is going on? Basically, it's. I mean, of course, we talked about it lightly. There's a lot of hot topics out there right now. Definitely, with the root of our show, the Eskwilax Hour, promoting art and people who are passionate with what they're doing. And right now it coexists within an era of, it's very positive, it's being intaken, a lot of creativity is being intaken by the society. Our economy is liking, more people with tattoos in their environments, or not just that, but also artists who are creative, who are not just regular people, who are now second, third generation, very creative people who come from a background of being undocumented. They're undocumented themselves, have family who are immigrants, who might have a business, who don't have a business, but definitely visibility is a matter right now, and anything that is out there is going to be heard and going to be, either reciprocated back with positivity or not taken in. And right now, you have a brand that is very taken in, and it's very powerful, like you stated in your statement. It's not just a wear, but it's a statement, like a political uprising to being in solidarity with people who have been isolated and marginalized for a long time and still continue to be, and now are being subjugated to even deportation and to not having rights no more. But where do you see us right now with the brand and just being there with people? Like, what do you think about it, or how are you feeling about it at the moment?
Well, what's going on with DACA is a travesty. These children came here as either children or young adults with their families to seek a better life, as I did with my family. I came here when I was 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That could very well be me right now. I came here when I was 2, and I didn't become a U.S. citizen until I was 19. I wasn't able to go back to El Salvador until I was 14, and I'm 33 now. So I know what that entire, timeline is.
Yes.
It's emotional, it's stressful, it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
My father, he died. My grandmother died before they were able to go back to El Salvador.
Yeah.
And it makes you, it hurts you. It really hits you the center of your core that this is still going on. There's plenty of people that fight every day to make change, to make it better for people like the Dreamers. And the fact that we can have, neo-Nazis, KKK parading, and they're allowed to hang out and wave their flags, but Dreamers can't be here, it's horrible, it's a nightmare. It's in 2017, it's like, it's unheard of.
No, it should be unheard of, or it should just be something in the past, where we have moved forward from, definitely, because, you're definitely an example, and a lot of the people who are out there putting their work now, of people who have been pushing, something they believe in. And if this brand was something that was not, it was created from your passion and from not just identifying with something that you read, you lived it and you brought it to life, and it's now present in many people's lives.
Yeah, for me, my family taught me to be very patriotic and always remember where you come from, because without which, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going.
Definitely.
So they taught me to, always know what your heritage is, your background is, and move forward with that, take that and run. And we're no different than the Europeans that came in 100 years ago. The only difference is our skin tone, and our last names. That's really about it. And all we can do now is just stick together and move forward and try to make positive changes.
Right. Definitely. What about dialogue with people who might not understand the positivity of using the word immigrant as part of a label? I'm sure you've
Yeah, I mean, when I
encountered
first
that.
started, people, they were like, Betty, you're crazy. You're going to put that word on a shirt? And I'm like, this is a beautiful word. I
Yeah.
mean, this is maybe not, you know, everyone is first generation, but everyone comes from somewhere. So I wanted to just rip the stigma of that negative connotation and make it a positive. It's a beautiful thing to be an immigrant. We come here to achieve a better life, maybe not for ourselves, but for our family, our future family.
Right.
And it's important to invite people and to talk and have conversations, like you said, dialogue, and educate people that we're here to do better. You know, we don't want to have that, like I said, negative connotation that we're here to take anything from anyone else. We're just here to add, to contribute, to be positive influencers in society.
Right. I mean, definitely. I mean, we were just talking about it a bit with Hokin, our camera, and you know, media producer also, and Angel. On our way over here, we were like, it's important to have dialogue about this and to show different perspectives, because we all know different, you know, I keep saying, you know, we all know different levels and have different experiences with this, you know, political issue. Or, you know.
That's true. You know, not everybody, you know, partakes on certain concepts of, you know, how in depth each thing is you know, such as words, such an apparel, or such, you know, such art. You know, everybody just sees the surface of it. But there are people that are putting in depth, you know, the perspective of what is going on and how to clearly, you know, just go about it, you know, and
Translate it,
instead of
yeah.
just being scared to use certain stigmas.
Because we definitely grew up with our parents that did not want to, I mean, even if we go really way back in history, some people don't even want to identify as an immigrant or someone who's indigenous, you know, because it would get them killed, you know, and especially in Salvador with the Civil War, and Guatemala with the Civil War, and you know, like all these indigenous places that people were scared to identify because their families would get wiped out. And nowadays, they have their kids here in the United States, or like we said, a lot of people like Dreamers, AB 540 students, they came over here and still identify with their roots, identified with their life here in the United States, and are using that now to have a voice, you know, because sometimes our people didn't want to really have a voice, you know. We were working and we were handling, but hold up, you know, like I'm not sure if I'm ready to be seen, even though there was a large invisible economy that was being produced, and it continues to function now with people who are undocumented, you know, people who are under DACA, under a bunch of political
TPS, you know, different
TPS,
asylums,
like
you know.
different asylums, and I don't know. It's you know, history does repeat itself, as we say, and it's definitely important for us to be part of vocalizing our opinions, but also translating like how politics do evolve and how work is passed on to generations, where it's like we're not invisible, we're very present, and we can create even though we were pushed out. We can make our brand, we can make our businesses, we can be whatever we want to be, even though we have been pushed out for centuries and still don't even want to be included as people of this country. You know, so definitely thank you for being an example and for being here for all of our, you know, people who don't have a voice or have a voice or have been shy or do speak out, because we do have a lot of people right now in solidarity out there, not just with the tragicness of the earthquake last night in Oaxaca and Guatemala, but with what happened in Texas or what's happening all over the world with a lot of political turmoils, and especially with DACA, and how people are just playing with language that actually affects lives and families. You know, we cannot just think that that's not real, you know. So definitely, I don't know. I know I've said a lot, but Betty.
But
got
it's
the
true.
words.
It's like she said. Everybody's being separated. Due to different causes. You have people within California, you know, talking about not just about DACA, but talking about the fire that's going on in Burbank. We have people also that are from out of state that are talking about what's going on in Texas and how that law was also abolished, where you were warned and evacuated, you know, to safety, you know, for your own, you know, for your own safety.
We have students who are fighting also fee hikes and trying to still survive out there within the education system, you know.
And so it's like everybody's being split up, and now with the earthquake, you know, going back home, you know, certain people, certain of us that do have family members back home, you know, and it's not just one sector, but it's 3 sectors of that area. You get me? The sector that also wants to exclude themselves from being a bigger nation or a country, and because Oaxaca does identify themselves outside of Mexico, they don't identify themselves as Mexicans, then they find themselves as, you know, just Oaxacans. And they also were affected. Chiapas was also affected, which is part of Mexico. So you could say Mexico was also affected. Guatemala was also affected. So everybody's just not knowing where to go or where to put their full attention, and knowing that, you know, certain things like this is going on, really does, they do need a certain stability, you know, like a word or just a phrase itself or an individual that would kind of bring forward, you know, just the kind of like the turmoil to cease.
But definitely, I've seen you've definitely been to a lot of events, right? What would this one be?
Say again?
Sorry, I was trying to see the picture, and which event, if it was an event. It says
that
Mayor.
was in Providence, in Rhode Island.
Nice.
And that's the mayor. He did a photo op with us. He's the mayor of
Nice.
Providence.
See.
Yeah, he stopped by our booth and he loved what we were doing.
Mhm. Definitely.
Oh.
Definitely. You see, people of all economic statuses can identify, or different
Absolutely.
classes, you know.
Yeah. There's a few A-list people that are wearing my brand.
Yeah.
And now more than ever, like you said, people are standing in solidarity. People are even if you're not an immigrant, first generation immigrant, you're representing people that are doing things, people that are immigrants that are doing things. People like Amber Rose, Jason Derulo, Jeff Foxworthy, they've all worn my line. And it's a great thing, but also with following with what you guys are saying, right now we have an administration that is more or less dividing people. And it's unfortunate because with so many disasters that are going on, from the fires to the earthquake to this massive hurricane that we have almost hitting Miami, it's not a time to divide people. It's a time to bring people together and to help one another in time of need. And if we have an administration that is breaking people down from the top, then how can that happen at the bottom? We have to look past that and know that at the end of the day, we all bleed red no matter what color we are, or if we were born north or south of the border. That should go out the window when it comes to things like this.
Right, because we're all human. And
We're all
it's like
human.
one world, too.
It doesn't matter where we're from, we're all human, and like I said, right now it's a time to stick together and to really more or less love each other.
And you've been feeling that, right? Because you've met a lot of people. There's a lot of photography that, a lot of people that wear your brand and send you pictures and tell you, you know, I'm sure there's stories about why they identify with Immigrant Apparel, you know, and that's very
Absolutely, like OT Genesis
prominent.
that you see there, he's from Belize.
Oh, okay, nice.
You know, people like Jason Derulo, they're Haitian. I mean, sometimes you don't even know these things.
Yeah, exactly.
But these are people that are, Perez Hilton, he's Cuban. People that are very in tune and in touch with their heritage. And they're proud to wear immigrant apparel.
what would you have as like, like a closing? But of course, we are also going to have another dialogue with another artist, and also DACA Pro Glenda, or another artist. We had her before on the show too. Or I don't know, what is the statement that you feel right now we could all really like identify with? If you could leave a couple words to,
to your
to
the
your
audience that listens to you or
and,
views you,
and the people
or
who are
even
about to follow you after they see your amazing interview.
But what kind of message do you want to relay to everybody? That like you said, it's being divided, but still there's something that they need to look forward to. And
just like my parents did, they were very brave people, and to all the dreamers out there, to all the people that are undocumented, stay strong, have faith in yourselves, in our system, and just always do the right thing, stay out of trouble so they don't give you a reason to kick you out, more or less. Be a positive contribution to society, and always do good. And my brand was dedicated to all people that reside in foreign land, all walks of life.
It's definitely, it's a beautiful dedication, and I'm glad that we're documenting this moment, where someone who believed and has been very alive and present in your family's life, and everybody around you has definitely, I'm sure, given you a lot of support, and that's very positive, and thank you, because it influences other people who may have been shy or come with your similar background to also push themselves, because like you said, we can do whatever our mind creates or decides to do. So right now, with trying to understand DACA, what would you say people should, think about right now? Because
or
it's
stand
already
in solidarity.
passed, they're saying right now that if you have so-and-so errors, you're leaving, But do you think that we should right now scatter around or come together, Because sometimes they throw media out there to scare people, to divide people, like you were talking about, Yeah,
I would say, like I said, stay strong, stay positive, and chase your dreams no matter what they are. If you want to be a rocket scientist, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a designer, you want to be a reporter, stay true to who you are no matter who you are, and just be a positive contribution to society, because outside of that, there's always a reason for people to more or less deport you. But be strong, have faith. I have faith in Congress that this will be fixed. I don't think that I don't think almost 1 million people are gonna be deported. I hope not, but I do have faith in Congress, and I'm certain that we'll come to a resolution.
Yeah, definitely, thank you. And yet again, if you could tell us again, how can we find your brand? I know I saw your Instagram page, which is really cool.
The website is immigrantapparel.com. I am in a couple stores in New York. I'm also working on getting into a few retail shops and having my own shop here in LA.
Nice.
For the time being, online, immigrantapparel.com. I also do pop-up events throughout the city.
Wow,
and
wonderful.
also if people want to connect with you, and just, talk to you more about, political movements, such as, the ones that are coming up. You
I'm
could
sure,
also, lend a helping, ear and also helping voice for them too as well, if they want to reach out to you.
Because you're
in
so
that matter.
positive,
Those are my people.
I like it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Instagram and Facebook is Immigrant Apparel, or my personal is Betty Penate.
Betty Penata. Thank you so much, Betty. I
course.
really appreciate you coming out here. And you also sponsored us
got
today
some
at
gear.
the Eskwilax hour. We'll do this.
Show
I
it.
know. Let's do
Show.
this. Here's a couple of, we got a little beanie, which is really pretty. Those right here. Nice. And it has the United States in the middle.
Yeah.
And then we also have the immigrant shirts, which is the black and white one, which is the one you're rocking actually. That's
Yeah.
that's a jacket.
The
huh?
sweater, yeah.
That's cute. That's
Yeah.
a
And
nice
then
one.
in the gold too.
And then the black and white one. And of course the beautiful gold.
Some goodies for the crew.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you. And yet again, thank you for coming through, especially
Thank you for having
in
me.
these moments where we need as much information as we can to definitely keep spreading and awareness to people who are unaware of what's happening or people who are aware and just need more encouragement.
And also people who want to take back certain words as, and remove the stigma behind
Yeah.
certain, words or certain images such as the R2 and as in the Virgin Mary, removing certain stigmas behind, all the controversy that's, pushing everybody aside to just secluding them and to, keeping certain things, to themselves and certain things, alive,
Absolutely.
but eliminating that and pushing forward, a new generation that includes everybody. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you so much, Betty. Well, definitely, I guess we're going to introduce Glenda.
Our
Glenda
other
is,
spokesman,
There we
thing.
go.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Betty.
you so much, Betty.
So
Thank you
we
for-
have her Instagram. Yet again, if you want to tell us your Instagram, you said it was
Immigrant Apparel.
Immigrant
Yeah,
Apparel.
At Immigrant Apparel and at Betty Penate.
There you go, you guys.
Immigrant
Thank you so
Apparel.com.
much, Betty, yet again, for being here with us today.
And
Um,
lending a voice to everybody.
Yeah, and then I guess, yeah, we'll bring in Glenda.
So we're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
checking. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. Look at the zoom in.
It's like, no, it's not what you're trying to
Look at the detail.
Hey, everyone.
Look at the technique in those
Welcome
fingers.
back. Right now is still our second half, but now we have Glenda. How you doing? Thank you so much for coming back. Yes, y'all remember her from our last show? She had paint all over her face from Amethyst. She was our model while we gave her our interview from the body painting, and it was really cool because that was the first day you guys had met, and it just happened like magic. So that was really cool. Definitely something positive that I always like, where we get to meet a lot of people, and now have you back here today, not just you know,
As a model,
but as
a spokesman for certain, you know, for a certain political subject in a very delicate matter for most of the younger generation, the students, also the older generation that still were able to partake on this you know, on this how I put it, law, right? Because it was a law, or how would it say, just a movement, right? A movement itself.
Okay.
All right. Go
For
ahead.
me, well,
Hi, Glenda. How you doing?
hi guys. For me, DACA I didn't get it not until I was around my senior year of high school. But either way, it was something that was beneficial, but at the same time, I still didn't feel like I fit in with all my other classmates, since by the time it was senior year, everyone was doing college applications, and since even though I did have DACA, but I lived in Miami, so I only had two options. I either had to go to a community college that I was already part of from the high school, or continue in the same program. but I decided that I didn't want to take that route anymore, and I didn't have any other options considering the fact that Florida is still kind of considered as a red state. So
What would that mean?
it's like a kind of like conservative state still.
Oh,
Even though I
okay.
lived in Miami, it was still considered conservative. So we didn't have the same benefits, and the cost of school was still pretty high, and I didn't have any money. So I decided.
Even through the AB 540, right?
Yeah, I went through the whole process and everything. It's just I only had 2 options for school, and I took a chance that coming back, because I used to live in California too. I came back and decided to do the whole year in a day and be able to get in-state tuition. But growing up, it was pretty hard. I didn't notice what it was to be undocumented or to have DACA, not until my high school career when I started noticing I didn't have the same benefits or the same life as most kids did, and it was hard, to be honest. I wish I had the same opportunities as any other person, and that's why I think DACA is a good program, but I do think we still need immigration reformation, since I do think we do deserve more than just the same, like the lowest of the low, you know.
Yeah,
we
because
deserve what every other kid gets in
DACA
high school.
Yeah, what
felt
would
like
you
if it
do?
was something, you know, something just and that would just flow by, something not substantial, nothing that was actually like a ground base. It was just more of a an idea that was put out there, and it was hoping it would be successful, you know, improving the economy. But at the same time, a lot of people felt like it segregated some people that were part of the economy beforehand. So from what you're saying, you know, a reformation, immigration reformation would be more of a considerable take
What
than
would you
than-
guys
than
say is
just,
this
you know, just-
immigration reformation? Like somebody that doesn't know what that means.
It's more of like reforming a lot of laws and changing a lot of laws that help benefit immigrants instead of just keeping us more of like kind of like segregated in some sort of way.
So
It's-
DACA, you would say, is keeping us segregated.
It does, since this is all we know, and we don't get any benefits as any other person.
Right.
And it kind of like, it does make us feel lesser than any other average, like, you know, citizen in the US.
And now that
Right.
that they're using DACA as a means to pinpoint you where you're at, how you're doing, and just kind of like a being on probation, but not being on probation, because you think you made a big step, saying I got a social, I got a driver's license, I was able to go to college, I get a little bit of financial aid. So we saw it as a big hope, rather than it's just something that they're giving us to kind of ease us up.
Yeah. For me, I think, like, for sure, I just always thought, like, this whole thing going on, I knew it was inevitable. No matter what president was going to be, I feel like a lot of conservative states would want to change it or try to take it out. And, like, I do have hope in Congress, because they're not any, like, plain old guy. They know what they're doing. They sympathize and empathize with us. You know, they do consider us a viable part of economy and society. So this whole thing, I feel like it gives me more hope. You know, it feels like I have a chance of getting a life that I do deserve, even though, like, I've seen my parents do it without papers at all. Like, I know, like, this could, like, give us more than what we need.
Right. We shouldn't see it as a obstacle, but more of as a push to, you know, to even push further certain things, you know, and the people that were beneficial and took advantage of it, you know, lay the ground rules for, you know, lay the ground rules for everybody else, you know, to kind of just have more of an idea of what it is to, you know, to actually reform a law than to just have a law just kind of give us a little bit of hope.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Any thoughts, Jocelyn? You've been in the front line, you know, you fought for, you know, workers union, you know, you fought for people that wanted to implement a more strategic way to to help everybody, fighting for the teachers union as well, fighting for the fight, it wasn't just a teachers race, but you also were asking for teachers to sympathize with the students and
Also with the
lower
dreamers.
and the dreamers as well, to lower institutional prices, instead of just implementing more money for the teachers, but helping the students as well, giving back to the students and just keeping to the teachers themselves, because that itself was a big step, just for everybody, economical wise, and especially just educational wise, how beneficial can everybody be if we're just helping one side, not the other.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a confusing topic if we stick to the language. Sometimes it's a lot of language barrier. I know that when I first started, I didn't have to go to DACA. I was born here, but my parents were immigrants and they were undocumented, and I've always understood that there was different people with different statuses here in the United States. That was probably the first time that I heard about it. We have different statuses. That means that you can do specific things and you can't do specific things, or you can do anything you want. It's just gonna cost you more.
Yeah.
And so there's always definitely been barriers that besides the language, but even trying to get people to understand what side to choose, or who should they stand with,
or who to sympathize, or
who to sympathize,
or who to even just know.
Because sometimes a lot of the people who were speaking out were students, and a lot of the first generation immigrant or undocumented folks, they were resistance of it a bit. Students, they're just being loud. They're gonna get mad at us more, that we're always creating some kind of chaos. And sometimes we would get support, sometimes we wouldn't get support. Sometimes it would be different protests, which is always very I'm not saying it was sad, but it was a bit confusing. I'd be like, we're all marching for
the same cause, but it's just divided.
Why are they divided?
Yeah.
And it's for the reason that we're talking about. Some people experience different levels of it. Some people barely met DACA. Some people got lawyers. They weren't very, they don't know literally what the paperwork is about. Or some people were just asked, just gather money so you won't get deported. Just sign here, sign there. It's a very confusing topic, but it was done on purpose and it's been like that, right?
Yeah.
Where we didn't want you to understand it. We wanted you to go through the higher means. And in a way, not sometimes, but we talked about how dreamers and people who are undocumented have surpassed that. And I feel like sometimes that scares the system. They were like, a lot of these folks were able to do it even with all of these things that we put in their way. We said, you're not allowed to be here. You got to get permits. You got to, be a good citizen. You can't mess up at all. Or,
you got to go to school.
You got to go to school
have to
from
education.
This year to that year, or else you're not this.
Or at least a GED, some sort of acknowledgement.
That you're a productive citizen of the United States, but you're not yet a citizen.
Yeah.
But you got to behave like one if you want to be like one.
You get a social, you get to work it, but
it's like,
You
what?
have to play the part, but you don't get the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
How
like
does that make sense to
It's like a
to them?
probation period. Yeah, I mean, they give you two years to do as much as you can, and then after those years, they determine if you're eligible to even continue, partaking in this benefit, But for the most part, I feel like a lot of people weren't fully educated on the fact that this law was just would be a floater. It would eventually be abolished. Like a president's law, like we learned from early education, can be vetoed at any point. So allowing us to set our hopes to saying, hey, this president acknowledges, set forward an idea or just a law itself to give us hope, wasn't fully fully understood by everybody. And now that it's now that it's, you know, at its threat, everybody wants to fully educate themselves on what methods to take, you know, from here on out, or how to see themselves, you know, if in case they get, you know, unemployed, you know, because their status isn't, you know, up to date, or in case they get, you know, their education, you know, has to cease because it's no longer valid. You know, what methods do they need to take from here on out? From your point of view, like, what should be, you know,
Or
done?
where do you think the energy should be focused right now?
I think we should remember our parents and our ancestors, since these people have come without papers and have done it regardless of what programs are out there. If we like look to them and ask for advice and try to like reminisce of all of their actions and their struggles, then I'm pretty sure it'll unify us all, because no matter if you're Mexican, Vietnamese, Philippines, Asian, Central American, they all had the same struggle, and at the end of the day, we're gonna have the same struggle too. And we just gotta remember that if they did, then we could do it too. Regardless of what's going on politically or here domestically, we have to remember and stay together, be unified no matter what.
Right. And now I've been telling everybody that now with the internet and the fact that everybody's doing stuff DIY, you know, self-taught, or just, you know, within themselves, it allows people to not fully just censor themselves to just having a full-time job, or you know, a job that requires you to put these informations out there, you know, like a California ID or social, but you could still work from home. You have me implement your
And
knowledge.
Look at you. You've created so much, even with so many drawbacks. You know? Thank you definitely for even sharing your art with us and your great energy, and for being informed. You know, I know that you experienced it yourself, but you also, you know, inform others about it, and that's really, you know, courageous of you. So definitely thank you for putting yourself out there, because I know a lot of people are still afraid sometimes, you know, to show their faces or to even like put
Betty
their
said,
art out there. So
or like Betty said, you know, put a word out there, you know, that signifies, you know, so much. But
people
but
like you, brands like Immigrant Apparel, you know, show and give hope that you can do it, and you got to keep pushing, you know, no matter what, and stick together definitely, because we know beautiful things can come about even within all of the chaos.
Right.
You know.
It's like the avocado, you know, it blooms every 100 years, from what Josie says.
But once it blooms, you know, the avocado you can put on anything and it tastes good.
Right, you know, it's like we're developing ourselves from just, you know.
Take your time, be patient, understand things around us. Like your art, tell us about it a little bit. I know it's been a long show, and thank you for bringing it to us and for sharing your images.
No problem.
Your inspiration for your art?
Mostly these were created right on the time when I received my DACA, and I started noticing that even though I still had this program, I still felt like I was on the border. I wasn't here or there, like the famous saying, ni soy de aquí, ni soy de allá.
Right.
So most of that I've really felt in that internally, and my identity, I didn't know who I was, because I was born in Mexico, but I came here when I was 8 months old. I don't know anything about it personally. I know my culture, but I also lived with American culture, so it was just like
It's hard to identify from either both.
You didn't know
I mean,
who to identify with, because both sides didn't want you. What it felt like. So most of it was kind of like revolving around being a border child, like a cacti in the border. You know, like even though I was still there, I was still thriving and surviving. That's why I chose cacti to relate to, because it lived in such severe conditions, and we still learn how to blossom and bloom and to grow the plethora. But that's just mostly what it was for me. That's what I wanted mostly to talk about during that time, how I didn't feel like I belonged to both sides, no matter what I did or what. Even having DACA, I didn't have the same benefits, and I didn't felt like I belonged either on both sides.
Right.
No, and that's another reason why we push forward on this, this show and the hour that, we put into just, informing everybody of what social, or local issues are going on all around us. Like the earthquake, the tsunami, that hit Miami, the flood that happened in Texas, or even just just the fire, the hurricane too, and the fire as well. But just to let everybody know what's going around, what people are doing, and what methods people are using to, just to channel their, their expressive abilities, or just, themselves as individuals. But thanks to everybody, that came.
You have an art page, you said? You have an art page where you put your art?
Yes, it's linked in my bio on my Instagram, my Instagram is Glenda Alicia, like does in D-U-H. And it's all together, there's no space or caps or anything. And in my bio, it's right there, my website with all my pieces from now all the way to, I think, 2015. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome.
It's a long
So
stretch.
definitely check out her work, you guys. And of course, Immigrant Apparel and Meet La Arte and Jess. You guys are all here and creative. And of course, Hokin and his beautiful photography and film work. And Efran and his productions and for all the videos he produces. And
then for also
Marco
making, building this platform of, just
for building the store for artists, so definitely thank you for
so everybody, that put
collaborating, and for being out there, mixing whatever we got, we put it out there and we come together and hopefully other people do it and it continues to grow and where we create a community. There's already communities out there that are together, but put
we don't
all
want
those
them
more
to be just,
together.
subcults.
Don't isolate yourselves.
Right.
Definitely.
Expand.
Grow,
Expand.
expand. Don't be shy.
Right.
Communicate
yourselves
with
up.
people.
They don't call us mixizos for nothing.
There you go.
No.
And I'd say
Thank you for
thank
tuning
you
in.
for everybody. Thank you to the Eskwilax Hour. Thank you to Dronebox.
And we'll show you, Jesse's finished piece. We'll take a picture of it, or we'll have him send the pictures to us when he's done, because he said he is a slow painter, but we still have time. Our show continues.
Remember,
So stay tuned.
what did I always say? The
tomorrow,
Mona Lisa took him
right?
like 100 years. It took him a long time to make the Mona Lisa, because it's oil, right? I think it's. Oh, okay. No, but what I'm saying is that
Or
the
the
Mona
16
Lisa took a
chapels.
long time to make it. And when it was finally put out there, it's still seen today, like
Right.
hundreds and hundreds of years later. But it took him a long time to make it.
Right.
And sometimes it's going to take us time, but if we definitely put it out there and communicate and do our thing, then it's possible.
Right.
So definitely thank you for tuning in.